Om Namah Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namah Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayam Dhirayat Nashtapaishu Abhadeshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Tamashloke Bhakti Bhakti Naishiki. Hare Krishna, dear devotees. Today we're reading from Canto 9, Chapter 5, entitled Durvasa Muni's Life Spared. And today we're reading text 21 and text 22. So I'll read text 21 on my own, and then we can repeat text 22 together. So text 21. Kama vadatam ittate gayanti svasriyomuhu kirtim parama punyam cha kirtai shati buryam. Translation: all the blessed women in the heavenly planets will continuously chant about your spotless character at every moment, and the people of this world will also chant your glories continuously. Text 22, so this one we repeat together. Shri Shuka Uvacha,
Shri Shuka Uvacha,
Evam Sankirta Rajanam,
Evam Sankirta Rajanam,
Durvasa Paritoshitaha,
Durvasa Paritoshitaha,
Yayo Vihaya Samantriya,
Yayo Vihaya Samantriya,
Brahmalokam Aitukam,
Brahmalokam Aitukam,
Shri Shuka Uvacha,
Shri Shuka Uvacha,
Evam Sankirtya Rajanam,
Evam Sankirta Rajanam,
Durvasa Paritoshitaha,
Durvasa Paritoshitaha,
Yayo Vihaya Samantriya,
Yayo Vihaya Samantriya,
Brahmalokam Aitukam,
Brahmalokam Aitukam,
Shri Shuka Uvacha,
Shri Shuka Uvacha,
Evam Sankirtya Rajanam,
Evam Sankirta Rajanam,
Durvasa Paritoshitaha,
Durvasa Paritoshitaha,
Yayo Vihaya Samantriya,
Yayo Vihaya Samantriya,
Brahmalokam Aitukam,
Brahmalokam Aitukam,
Shri Shuka Uvacha,
Shri Shuka Uvacha,
Evam Sankirtya Rajanam,
Evam Sankirta Rajanam,
Durvasa Paritoshita,
Durvasa Paritoshitaha,
Yayo Vihaya Samantriya,
Yayo Vihaya Samantriya,
Brahmalokam Haitukam,
Brahmalokam Aitukam,
Shri Shuka Uvacha,
Shri Shuka Uvacha,
Evam Sankirtya Rajanam,
Evam Sankirta Rajanam,
Durvasa Paritochitaha,
Durvasa Paritoshitaha,
Yayo Vihaya Samantriya,
Yayo Vihaya Samantriya,
Brahmalokam Aitukam,
Brahmalokam Aitukam,
Shri Shuka Uvacha,
Shri Shuka Uvacha,
Evam Sankirtya Rajanam,
Evam Sankirta Rajanam,
Durvasa Paritoshita,
Durvasa Paritoshita,
Yaya Vihaya Samantraya,
Yayo Vihaya Samantriya,
Brahmalokam Ahaitukam,
Brahmalokam Aitukam, Shri Shuka Uvacha,
Evam Sankirtya Rajanam,
Evam Sankirta Rajanam,
Durvasa Paritoshita,
Durvasa Paritoshita,
Yayo Vihaya Samantriya,
Yayo Vihaya Samantriya,
Brahmalokam Aitukam,
Brahmalokam Aitukam.
Word for word, Shri Shuka Uvacha.
Bhagavatam.
Shri Shukadev Goswami says, Evam, thus, Sankirtya, glorifying, Rajanam, the king, Dovasa, the great mystic yogi Dovasa Muni,
The great mystic yogi Dovasa Muni.
Paritoshitaha, being satisfied in all respects.
Being satisfied in all respects.
Yayo, left that place. Vihayasa, by the spaceways. Amantriya, taking permission. Brahmalokam, to the topmost planet of this universe. I to come, where there is no dry philosophical speculation. Translation and purport by His Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada, Srila Prabhupada Ki, Srila Prabhupada's Bhaktivedanta purport Ki. Shri Shukadev Goswami continues, thus being satisfied in all respects, the great mystic yogi Dovasa took permission and left, continuously glorifying the king. Through the skyways, he went to Brahmaloka, which is devoid of agnostics and dry philosophical speculators. Purport. Although Dovasa Muni went back to Brahmaloka through the spaceways, he did not need an airplane, for great mystic yogis can transport themselves from any planet to any other without any machine. There is a planet named Siddhaloka, whose inhabitants can go to any other planet because they naturally have all the perfection of yoga practice. Thus, Dovasa Muni, the great mystic yogi, could go through the skyways to any planet, even to Brahmaloka. In Brahmaloka, everyone is self-realized, and thus there is no need of philosophical speculation to come to the conclusion of the absolute truth. Dovasa Muni's purpose in going to Brahmaloka was apparently to speak to the residents of Brahmaloka about how powerful a devotee is and how a devotee can surpass every living entity within this material world. The so-called Gyanis and Yogis cannot compare to a devotee. Om Jnanatimirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurun Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Svapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunatam Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Saitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padam Sahagana Lajita Shri Vishakam Vitamscha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagatpate Gopisha Gopika Kanta Radha Kranta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshvari Vrishabhanu Sutdevi Pranamami Haripriye Panchakarpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya evacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shri Vasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna
Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama Hare Rama, Rama Rama Hare Hare.
Let's read the verse again. Sri Shukadev Goswami continued, thus being satisfied in all respects, the great mystic yogi Durvasa took permission and left, continuously glorifying the king. Through the skyways, he went to Brahmaloka, which is devoid of agnostics and dry philosophical speculators. Hare Krishna everyone, thank you for coming to the Srimad Bhagavatam class, and thank you for giving me the opportunity to speak today. I know I'm not very worthy of speaking, I don't know so much, but by your mercy I can speak something of relevance for everyone and for my own purification. So I'm going to try to speak a little bit about this verse today, and it's very interesting how Bhagavatam sometimes is just one verse like this and seemingly a small purport, but there's so many topics we can speak about. So it's coming to a close about this pastime. Durvasa is finally going back to Brahmaloka. But the good thing about it is that this interaction between these two personalities, he had a good effect. Because usually, sometime in the material world, the interactions of people, they don't have so much of a good effect, It leaves a bad taste. But this one obviously started quite harshly, obviously. But then both persons were actually very, very satisfied. And even more than this, now Durvasa Muni is glorifying the devotee, which is basically perfection of life. Really, if you can glorify a devotee, that's really perfection of life, because obviously we know that the sweetest thing in the world is our own name, is our own self. Actually, the most precious things is our own self, really. So to think about others, or to even glorify others, or to even serve other persons than ourselves, then it's quite difficult, it's a big challenge in this material world. So Durvasa Muni did that, and I really, somehow or other, while reading it, I really wanted to know who is Durvasa Muni. Maybe you guys have covered this over the last few classes, but do you know really who was Durvasa Muni, and where does he come from, and how did he appear? Who was his father? Who was his mother? It's described in the Bhagavatam also. So I did a little research, and I can share a little bit. Actually, the actual meaning of Durvasa means one who is a person who is difficult to reside with. That's the actual meaning of what Durvasa means. So that's quite a thing, but he's not an ordinary person, because believe it or not, he's actually an expansion of Lord Shiva. Actually, that's why he was a devotee of Lord Shiva. He was very, very devoted to Lord Shiva because he is himself an expansion of Lord Shiva. And maybe you remember this story in the 4th canto that. Well, actually, it started in the 3rd canto, when Kardama Muni has a desire to unite with another lady, and who comes to him? Svayambhuva Manu. Yeah, and then he gives his daughter, devotee, he says, this lady is very fitted for you, and we checked everything, because obviously before marriage, it was not decided that one boy married this girl, and the man was not deciding who he was going to marry. The parents of a lady were going to to another family, and they were deciding, and they were kind of consulting with their family. They were even consulting astrology if these two persons were fitting together, and if it was right to marry them, and if everything was okay, then they could marry. So they did this with Devavati and Kardama Muni. Kardama Muni was a very great sage. He was very renounced, actually a very austere person. He was living in a small hut. And his wife pleased him for a very, very long time. And after some time, because obviously we know, another name in Sanskrit for the feminine energy or feminine person is Stri. And the meaning of Stri means to expand. So at some point there is a need to expand. It's natural. It's actually natural for a lady to want to expand. So then Devavati, she started to feel this need, and she asked her dear husband, and her husband gave her so many facilities actually, because she had done many austerities also. She had become very, very dirty, and her hair were she had just matted hair like dreadlocks. And so she provided everything for her, and then for many years they enjoyed, and 9 daughters came from her womb. Obviously, we know what's his name? Sorry, Kardama Muni. He expanded into 9, and 9 daughters came from Devavati, and one of them was Anasuya, and she was married to. There was 9 sages also who were born from Brahma, and one of them was Atri Muni. From their, there's a lot of names. From their marriage, then after this Brahma ordered them to populate the universe. The 9 sages were also kind of part of the Prajapatis. They were given the mission to populate the universe, and then they married, but then Radha Parisisvara Mandir. Shri Jagannath Baladev Subhadra Sudarshan Chakra ki Jai. Shri Nitai Sachisuta ki Jai. But then Atri Muni, being a sage, he was also very austere himself, and he went into very, very deep, austere penance. He said that he stayed on one leg for about 100 years. He stayed on one leg for about 100 years. I don't know if you try it, stay on one leg. You want to try it? 100 years. And then he did pranayama. And he said that he said in Bhagavatam, one of his results of doing pranayama, actually his head started to be on fire. And at this time, Vishnu, who is also the super soul, living in the heart of every living entity, Sarvasachaham Vidisani Vishnu, he noticed that, and he said, this guy is doing some really foul stuff. And so then he called also Shiva and Brahma, and they went to Atri Muni all together. Imagine you're doing pranayama, and then there's 3 deities, they come in front of you. The Brahma, Vishnu, and Shiva. Are you chanting Hare Krishna? And so they came to him and they say, anything we can do for you? But they came in a very interesting way. They came with all their mode of transport. You know which mode of transport for each one? What does Shiva, how does Shiva goes by?
Comment ça s'appelle?
Yeah, the bull.
The
Yeah,
bull.
the bull. And then Brahma?
Swan.
Swan.
Yeah.
Amsa.
Yeah.
Vishnu?
Garuda.
Garuda. Easy. And they all carry something in their hands. Something very special. What does Shiva usually carry?
Weapon?
Not. Huh? Yeah. Drum. The drum.
Ah, the drum. Oh.
How is it called, the drum? Damaru. Damaru. Is it Milanga? Or?
No, it's
Oh, it's.
yeah.
They do like this, no?
Yeah.
Yeah. We saw them in Kumbh Mela. So many of them.
Oh.
But he has a trident also. Anyway, he has many different things.
Trident, yeah.
What does. Okay, this is a bit harder. What did Brahma have?
Kamandalu.
Which is?
Kamandalu.
Yeah, he has Kamandalu, that's
Yeah.
true. He has many hands, so he has different things.
Vedas.
Huh?
He has also the book Veda.
He has the Veda, yeah, with him.
Chanting beads.
He has chanting beads.
Really?
Yeah, Brahma has chanting beads.
And
And
he
he-
has flower.
He has lotus flower
Lotus
also.
flower.
But then he has something that I didn't find in many drawing. In the Bhagavatam he says that he comes with a kusha grass.
Oh, wow.
Ah,
He comes with a kusha grass which represents that he is the first person that initiates yagyas. Kusha grass represents like he is the authority of yagya, Brahma. And then Vishnu, he came when he got four choices.
Chakra.
Yeah, he came with the chakra. But it's noticeable by his chakra, his discus. So yeah, that's what happened. And then Atri Muni, he said that he was not a pure devotee, he was a mixed devotee. The reason was that when these three deities they came to him, he said, I want a son. I'm doing all these austerities and I got my wife here. I want a son that is like, that is
same quality.
same, yeah, that has the same quality as the Supreme Personality of Godhead. That was his desire. And then the Acharya, they say that, Srila Prabhupada, especially in the Prabhupada, they say that was the difference between a pure devotee and a mixed devotee. He was like, what was his name? Kadama Muni, or, Vasudev and Devaki. They were pure devotees. They were completely pure because they wanted as their son the Supreme Personality of God. But he was a mixed devotee. But obviously we know from the Bhagavad Gita, Chaturvida Bhajante Mam Jana Sukritino Jana Ata Jigneso Atanati Ganicha Bharata Shava. That there's four kind of people that come to Krishna that still have some desires. And they are
And the suffering.
the distress, yeah.
Distress.
Desire of wealth.
Desire of wealth, money. Money is the honey. And then
One who want to attain the absolute truth. Like,
yeah, one who really wants
Really wants
the absolute truth. This one they're very, very rare. And then the one
inquisitive.
curious.
Curious.
He's kind of
Curious.
he's asking question and yeah, he's curious. So all these four they consider as sakam or devotees with desires. But it's fine because all these four they can be, it's not that you have to be just in one category or in two. You can be in all the categories, but there's always one prominent category in these four. Because when the first time I read this and I also met the devotees and I was like, wait, which category I am in? I'm in being in a four or I'm just in one? And then the devotees they explain to me, they say, Now actually you can be in the four together, but there is always a prominent one. Just like, the three modes of material nature, you get always one prominent, but it's always mixed. Otherwise, if you are in pure goodness, you are nothing. So, yeah. But by the association of pure devotees, you gradually rise yourself from being a devotee with desires, to a devotee who is more and more pure, and you can render a pure devotional service. And this is also explained I was reading Chaitanya Charitamrita also. It's explained there in the teachings of Sanatana Goswami. At some point, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu say to Sanatana Goswami that if a person is actually liberal and intelligent, he can advance and become perfect in devotional service, even if he has material desires, and serve the Lord with some motive. So the two things is, you have to be liberal and intelligent. Yeah, that's what it says here.
Could you quote the verse?
Yeah, CC Madhya 24.196.
Okay, thank you.
That's the chapter is called the 61 explanations of the Atmaran verse.
Oh yeah.
And it's written there. So obviously, we perform devotional service, and for us, we are practicing devotees, and we might have some material desires. Maybe some of us have less, some of us have more, but we know that by doing the process and by following the guidance of our spiritual master, our acharyas, then we gradually getting rid of these desires. And one might ask even, well, do you really need then pure association to really success? Because usually when you say, sadhusanga or satsanga, does it only purifies me if I do it by pure devotee association? It's a good question because, of course, yes, we need association of pure Vaishnavas and senior Vaishnavas. But it's also mentioned in other part of our scriptures that sadhusanga or satsanga is also done. Oh no, okay, let's put it another way. Prabhupada actually in a class, he said that satsanga, you can define satsanga by having good association. So it means when you associate with peers, even, and when you perform devotional service, then when you, for example, reading and then you discuss, that's satsanga. So like that. Okay, let's go back to the story at Sri Muni. So he's asking, can you please give me one son from you all, and that is like the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And then I read this recently, but what happened then? Oh, sorry. Anyway, so then they give him one son each. Instead of giving one son, they give him 3 sons. And you know which sons?
That reality has like one body creates, right?
Yes,
Like
Dattatreya,
and the Russia.
who is the son of Vishnu, and Brahma is Soma, moon gods, and obviously Shiva, Durva Samani. So it's a nice story. It's a very, very nice story, and then he carries on over in the 9th canto, which we are now, and also it goes on because obviously Durva Samuni, by going through this amazing pastime with Ambarish Maharaj, we know that he learned his lesson, Because Prabhupada says also, you can commit mistake, but don't commit them twice, just learn from them. It's fine to commit mistakes because obviously we are prone to commit mistakes as conditioned souls, but as much as possible, learn from them. Don't commit them twice. That's the success of committing mistakes, really. So Dova Samuni also here, he makes a mistake, he makes an offenses to a Vaishnava, but he learns from it, obviously, from the Supreme Personality of God himself, who instructed him that you go to this devotee, you ask him for forgiveness. And then he got the blessing after this because he starts to glorify the devotee and then he even goes back to his planet, to Brahmaloka, and he still talks about this devotee. So this is a lesson for us to understand. But even more than this, when in a later pastime, when he goes to, maybe you all know this story from Mahabharata, when he goes to Duryodhana, ask him to go to Yudhishthira Maharaj and ask him for, just to go there, really. But obviously we know the tradition, when there is a sage that enters, then we should provide him with some food, some prasadam. And obviously Dova Samuni came with like thousands of his disciples. And some or other, Duryodhana knew, obviously, that they just had finished eating. They just had finished cooking. And there was a special boon, no? With, who was it? There was a special boon with...
There was a plate that son got given to Draupadi.
Yeah, Draupadi had a special boon that some other, she couldn't cook. Or she
could feed as many people as...
She could feed as many people as possible, but...
As long as
until Draupadi finished visiting.
Yeah, and some other Draupadi had finished. Duryodhana obviously knew all this. So obviously, when the devotees are in distress, what happens when the devotees are in distress? Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. They always call Hare Krishna. That's why in this world, devotees are always chanting Hare Krishna, because this is a distressful world. It's distress at every step, no? Padam, padam, vipadam. Every step you do in this world is, wow, it's a mess.
Danger.
It's danger, yeah. So they called out to Krishna. Krishna arranged something, and they all became satisfied while they were taking a bath. And Dova Samuni, he didn't go further because he's, okay, that happened with this Ambarish Maharaj. I won't do the same mistake again with this guy also looks very powerful, Maharaj Yudhishthira, so I won't commit the same mistake. So yeah, serving or glorifying the devotees is actually a very, very special service, really. We have some of our devotees actually it's a duty of every devotee to glorify devotees, because it keeps the atmosphere together, and it's just the atmosphere stays high, and you can feel it really when you go on book distribution, when you start glorifying someone, then the person got really lifted, and we saw this the other day. There was we had a few interactions when we were coming back from Yoga Lyric, and we were going well, and then we met one guy who was didn't know what was his intention, and we were getting a bit maybe too excited, and we went a bit straight in it, just okay, take this book, give a donation, but there was not much glorification whatsoever. And the guy, obviously being a spirit soul, he could sense that, and he said very kindly, okay, no, not today. And then the next person we met, I stopped him and I said, sir, you look wonderful, you look very intelligent, and you seem to be a very, very relaxed person. I just wanted to know what's your secret. What's your secret? How do you do this? Please tell us. I said, it was like, he was already so happy, you know. And then, there was only one thing to do, is just to move the book from the trolley to his hands, and then to say, this is for, very intelligent person. I'm sure you will obviously learn a lot, but I'm sure you will teach at some point from this book as well, because you are a person who gives. I can see you overflowing with good energy, and your smile is just almost to your eyes. That's what I say to him in French. And then he was like, yeah, of course, I'll take it. And I'll give you what you... So that's what happened when we glorify devotees, or when we glorify person, is that we got this sense, obviously for us, because as we say in the beginning, it's very difficult for us to glorify others, because we want to be glorified. I want to be glorified. And that's the nature of this world. We are happy when others are being defamed or are not happy, and we are not happy when we see others glorified or when we see others happy. But spiritually, it's the other way around. The devotees, they are very happy and they are encouraging others. We know in the spiritual world, actually, when one very, very confidential servant do a very, very nice service, when someone dressed very, very nicely, Radha Krishna, then the person is not like, oh my God, this person, I'm gonna smash. No, they say that I will go in the house of such person, and I will serve her. I will serve him. I will go to that person, and I will glorify his service. So same for when we do book distribution or any service here, then we should also glorify the devotees. Wow, amazing blessing today! All these cherries that come from this tree.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Amazing! It looks beautiful, no? All the ladies look very, very beautiful today. Amazing darshan. Whoever dressed today is wonderful. So obviously we know that there is a rule in deity worship. We shouldn't glorify devotees before the deities. It's written there in Charitamrita.
Oh, okay.
It's obviously you shouldn't criticize devotees in front of the deities, but you shouldn't, as much as possible, you should refrain yourself. Because sometimes it becomes hard for some devotees to stop glorifying devotees. We got one devotee in London. His name is Bhakti Yoga, and he's renowned now, at least in London. His service, or one of his service, is really to glorify the devotees. And he's just doing it so much and so nicely that he became expert at it. He's just becoming expert, and just there's nothing that can stop him. That whenever he sees someone, he just glorify him. He can glorify him for 5, 10, 50 minutes. You just have to stand here and just hear all this glorification, and you're just like, wow. So this is the result of just keeping the energy high by glorifying the devotees. So we shouldn't be like devotees, they should be basically happy to see us, because it says that it's also a kind of an instruction in the scriptures that you should be happy when you see the devotee. They should be actually not a big smile. Obviously, different people smile differently, but you should be very, very happy to see a devotee, because it's very, very rare to be in association with a devotee. What is this verse? Sangha. Sadhu Sangha? Sadhu Sangha. The association of devotees, they are very, very rare, but even one matra, 1/11th of a second with a devotee, he can rise to the perfection of life. So, yeah, we're very, very fortunate to have ISKCON and to have temples established so we can associate together, advance together, and learn together. So, just to kind of close, interestingly enough, Prabhupada said one day, is a devotee simple or crooked? Is a devotee simple or crooked? What would you answer? It was in the morning walk. Is a devotee simple or crooked? But Prabhupada was, in this morning walk, he was a bit in a funny mood, in a laughing mood. So one devotee was very enthusiastic. He said, Prabhupada, devotee means simple. Simple? Are you sure? And he said, yes, Prabhupada, devotees are simple. And then Prabhupada said, well, devotee means also crooked. And then Prabhupada started to laugh himself and he said, just like me. I came to your country and I tricked you. I tricked you because you were not Vaishnava. You were very attached to illicit sex, intoxication, meat eating, or gambling. But I tricked you, and now you are attached to Krishna, or you're becoming attached to Krishna. So that's our mission. We should actually get out of our own way of thinking only about ourselves and being, kind of dovers alike, but being closer and closer to a personality like Srila Prabhupada or Prahlad Maharaj or Maharaj Ambarish, and really, really care for people and actually give as much as possible what they need. Obviously, it's not easy because nothing is easy in this world, really. But material things are impossible, but spiritual things are possible because we got Krishna, obviously. And therefore, that's what it means to actually care for people, is to go out of your way and really love that person. Because if you want to care for someone, if you want to see him grow, or if you want to see him improve, do more devotional service, then you should really, really love him or love her, wherever you cultivate. So this is one of the points being made here, is that Maharaj Ambarish, he got offended. Obviously, he was protected by Krishna, by the Sudarshan Chakra. He fasted for, how long was the fast? Ekadashi fast? 1 year. He got offended, but when he got offended, and Dova Samuni also went for 1 year to see all the different days, Maharaj Ambarish, he didn't go like, okay, it's pizza time, and now I can just release. No, he fasted 1 more year. He fasted 1 more year, and he waited very, very dutifully Dova Samuni, because he was his guest. So Maharaj Ambarish is setting up the the bar, obviously the example very, very high, but we can follow in his footsteps by practicing ourselves, glorifying the devotees, trying not to commit offenses. And actually that's the way to not commit offenses, because we were talking last time, no? The first offenses is to blaspheme the devotees who have dedicated their life to propagation, to the holy name. Obviously we know if you're a devotee, means that you are engaged in propagating the holy name, because every day we chant Hare Krishna, so we're propagating the holy name. So everyone is considered this kind of Vaishnava. But one way to kind of already counteract this offense, if you don't want to blaspheme, then you always glorify the devotees, and you're always seeing the good in other devotees. Obviously we heard from Guru Hari Prabhu that one way to the austerity of the mind, one of the austerity of the mind is satisfaction. And then it was described there that satisfaction, it comes from thinking about how to do good for others. So it's an austerity to think about how to do good for others, but it's also an austerity to glorify others. And so therefore when Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and Haridas Thakur, they met, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he asked, how can all these Yavanas, how will they be delivered? And then in the purport, Srila Prabhupada, he said that this is the service, this is the ultimate service in one sense, to constantly think about how will people be free from all threefold miseries, from all kind of miseries. And that's the duty of a Vaishnava, to think and really meditate. How can we deliver all these people? So stop here. There's a few minutes left for maybe more discussions. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you, Ananta-Krpa, Prabhu, for the nice class. Especially you insisted on the fact that we should glorify devotee, and this is part of our service. One question about this is to how much extent we should glorify a devotee. That we saw sometimes that between devotee there is exaggeration into the glorification, and we feel that it's coming from a not realistic way of saying it. Sometimes it can be like as well laughing about someone into a glorification. My question is more that to which extent we should glorify someone. That obviously if we glorify too much, that is not even at that level, then what's gonna...
Yeah, very good point. Because then also the devotee glorified will feel it will be too much, and you will feel bad.
Yeah.
That will do the reverse effect. Just like, oh my God. Now this guy is glorified, and then each time you will see the devotee, oh no, this guy again is gonna over glorify.
Yeah.
And then he creates it's really something that is to be dealt sensitive with sensitivity.
Okay.
So obviously we should, as you said, glorify the devotees, but not too much, and we should evaluate ourselves. Obviously, every service we start somewhere, but we might, as we were mentioning, this story also here is mistakes was committed, but we can learn from it, and we can always be we can give some attention also when we glorify, and we can see how the person reacts. And when we see that it's coming to a borderline, then it's time to move to another subject. So, and obviously we have one big part. Keshav Maharaji says that the fifth regulative principle is introspection. Introspection means you look into yourself, and or journalism. So we can also look into ourselves and before start to glorify, just like before every service actually. Okay, where am I? Who am I? And what am I doing this for? What's the reason? Am I doing it for the right reason? What I really speak, is it things that are truthful? Is it benefiting for others? So yeah, that's the practice.
Thank you.
That's the few things. I guess there is more to it, but a few things that came to my mind. Thank you for asking.
Thank you.
Any other points? Yes.
I like your point about the glorification aspect of things. I was just reading in the chapter Divinity and Divine Service, the Bhagavatam. In verse 14, it said, "Therefore, with one pointed attention, one should constantly hear about, glorify, remember, and worship the personality of Godhead, who is the protector of devotees." And Prabhupada says that in any one of the above-mentioned castes and orders of life, the four processes, namely glorifying, hearing, remembering, and worshiping, are general occupations. Without these principles of life, no one can exist. So he talks about how we're always like hearing about someone and glorifying them in society. So when we direct that towards Supreme Lord, it becomes perfect. And by extension, Krishna is pleased when we serve his devotees. So if we naturally glorify his devotees, then Krishna becomes pleased.
Yeah, and we know also from, I think it's from the Mahabharata, correct me if I'm wrong, where Krishna says, those who say that they are my devotees, they are not my devotees. But the devotee of my devotee is my devotee. So, yeah. And being a devotee of a devotee means that we should obviously, being attentive of what are their needs, what do they like, and obviously glorify them. Thank you for sharing this. Yeah, amazing. Thank you so much, everyone. On to Srimad Bhagavatam ki
Jai.
Srila Prabhupada ki
Jai.
Jai Nitai Gaur Premanande.
Haribo. His Grace Ananta-Krpa Prabhu ki Jai.